Hello, Harry. Welcome to 321 No Kiddin.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be on here.
I'm excited to get to know you. Thank you for 7 o'clock is pretty close to my bedtime, so I appreciate you being up late on a Friday night for me.
No worries. Happy to be here.
So, interestingly enough, I found you on TikTok because someone I know that's struggling with gambling told me to look and that there was gambling stuff on TikTok, which I appreciate you doing and getting the message out there. And that's about all I know about you. So I'm going to be learning along with the audience. So if you can start by maybe telling us where you're from and what life looks like on a normal day, family, any of that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm from Wales, so a country in the United Kingdom, so just next to England. And yeah, I grew up in Wales until I was 20 years old, and then I moved to Liverpool for university. And yeah, that's it. I've lived in, and obviously, Liverpool. Most people in America, I think, know of the Beatles. So yeah, that's where I live now. Yeah, and so I just got a 9 to 5 job, Monday, Friday, and then yeah, that's about it, really. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to dive right in then and maybe take us on a little, tell us about your story? Maybe when did you begin gambling?
Yeah, so I began gambling when I was about 15. So I used to gamble on scratch cards. I didn't really know at the time that I was gambling, but when I look back now, I didn't have much money, but I would spend all my money on scratch cards. So if I had £5, I would end up with nothing. So I didn't notice at the time, but now when I look back, that's when my gambling began. So yeah, so when I was about 15, and then it started getting, well, once I turned 18 then, and I was legal to gamble on sites, that's when it really took off. So yeah, gambled on online sites. I gambled in bookmakers, well, in betting shops. Yeah, so I knew after a few months, I was like, something's not right here. Like, I think something's not adding up. Like, I keep ending up, like, this is not the way I planned it. I was meant to make money here. I'm losing everything. I'm always ending up with nothing. So I knew after a few months that I've got a problem, and I'm always ending up with no money. Yeah, so I knew quite soon that something wasn't right, but I still kept gambling and didn't get much money then. Wherever I could get my hands on, I'd gamble. I'd get money to go in to college. So college in here, that's college is before university. So it's like when you're 16 to 18, and then you go off to university afterwards. But yeah, I would get money for going there, and I'd gamble with that. And I'd have a part-time job coaching football, soccer, as you call it over there. Yeah, and then so once I got a full-time job when I was 19. So I didn't decide to go to university. I took a year out. It was meant to be for traveling, but I didn't do any traveling. I gambled all my wages. It was everything that I earned. My month's wage would be gone quite soon. I'd still have a second job then coaching football. So I'd get cash, and I'd gamble with that as well. Gambled everything.
You said something about the money. Were you gambling to try to make money? Is that what you were thinking in the beginning?
Yeah. So for the beginning, it was to make money. My only intention, it was for money. I was money, like motivated by the money, and that was it. But even if I was winning, I was carrying on gambling with the winnings. There was not a figure I had in mind. It was just to carry on. No figure was high enough, really. It was just carry on, and then win and you win, but you lose quicker, you lose faster.
Yeah, my experience was I would bet higher because I knew I could win more if I won, but I didn't take into account I'd lose more if I lost. It was all just chasing. So you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah, you lose so much quicker.
Were your friends gambling? Like, was that kind of, I'm trying to understand, because I guess our governor is trying to make it legal to gamble online the way that the UK, it's always struck me as, why is the UK having so many issues with online gambling versus us? but it's because it's been legal in different formats. Was this something like people in your social circle did, or was it just something you did on your own?
Yeah, so my friends turned 18 before me, a couple of them, and they already gambled, or some of them even had sites at 17 with their older brother, older sisters. Well, it'd be, older brother's name. So I'd be like, I want to be doing that when I'm 18. They're talking about winning money, so I want to get in on that. Like I've grew up, I haven't really had money growing up, so I wanted to get in on it. I was thinking that sounds easy. I can win. Yeah.
So what made you decide to stop gambling?
Even when I just started gambling, I did want to stop because I was quite self-aware, even when I was 18, that I had a problem. I even got help when I was 18, but that didn't last long. I was always trying to quit. I was always trying to, I want to have a life without having to make money gambling, but it was just always seemed to be the easiest option for me. So I always went back to it. Even I'd be able to get up, not much, maybe a couple of weeks, but I'd eventually always go back. Even when I was around 18, 19, I was trying to quit then, but I just kept going back because it just seemed like it. I always convinced myself I'm going to be able to win. It just seemed easy.
So you were trying to quit cold turkey, or were you using any resources to quit? Like, did you go to Gamblers Anonymous or any other recovery?
Yeah. So at the start, I was trying to quit cold turkey. Well, saying that, actually, I did have on the phone counselling. That was it. But where I grew up in the northwest of Wales, there's no Gamblers Anonymous. I hadn't even heard of it until I moved to Liverpool. Didn't have a clue about it. There's none in my area. The closest one to me is the northeast of Wales, and it's a small country. So it's about 1.5 hours away. But still, at a young age, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and it's one of the things I'm grateful to COVID for is it's really opened up Gamblers Anonymous to everyone because there has been great distance, and that's part of why I started the podcast. Was I wanted people. It was like to give them a Gamblers Anonymous meeting wherever they were, whatever time of day was how I pictured it in the beginning. So I'm really grateful that there's more access. Was there like one moment that got you to where you finally quit for good? I mean, where are you? How long has it been since you gambled?
It's been 4 months.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
And what happened 4 months ago to kick you off on this nice stretch?
I consider myself over the last couple of years, it's changed for me. I consider myself more as like a binge gambler now. But when I do go back, it's everything. So I've been able to get a good amount of recovery. I've had more than 4 months before. I feel like in recovery, it's going to be a lifelong process for me to be able to get it right and keep it easy and keep it in a day. Yes, it's going to be a lifelong process for me, 100%. I've kept going back because I've kept not doing what I should be doing, basically. I've kept going off, not turning up to meetings. You miss one and then it's a few weeks, then it's a few months. And then you're telling yourself, I don't need that anymore. But then that's it. You're back gambling and you've lost everything. And then you're back in the meetings. But actually, the last time I did gamble, I didn't actually lose everything. I lost a big chunk of money, but I feel like I got a bit lucky the last time because normally when I lose money, there's only a certain amount of cash I can deposit from a bank, but it was a Sunday and the banks were closed. So I could only get a certain amount and I lost it all. And I didn't get any more out. And instead I went to a meeting maybe a week, maybe a couple of days afterwards, or maybe even a week. But for I got back quite quick this time and just got back on, I like to see it as it's not back to square one now, it's back to day one. I don't have to go back all the way to square one.
Yeah, a couple of things are going through my head. So thank you for sharing that this wasn't the first time. I think that it's important what you just called out. It's not about square one, because every time that we go through life, whether we gamble or go back out or stay consistent in recovery, for whatever amount of time, everything serves as a lesson to make us stronger and better. So I appreciate you calling that out. Was there anything like going on? Was there anything that used to make you want to gamble specifically? Like, I don't know, fight with the girlfriend or the parents or a hard day at work? Like, was there anything like that that motivated you to gamble?
Yeah, so it could even be the smallest things. Yeah, arguments. Yeah, like I said, with my girlfriend, with stress at work as well. It could be the smallest things. It creeps back up on you, the thoughts. I could go a long time without thinking about gambling, and then that thought might come into my head for a few seconds in one day, but the next day it'll keep get bigger and bigger. And then one day, if I've had an argument, or even if I'm feeling stressed and things are building up, I haven't been exercising as much. So for me as well, when I was hungover after drinking alcohol, that's when I was at danger quite as well. And then sometimes it's more that one day it creeps up on you, and next thing you know you're going to gamble. I've told myself, I'm going to gamble, and I'm not changing my mind. It just creeps up on you that quick.
Yeah, I know I have a lot of voices in my head that want me to go back out at times, and it's a daily process to keep ourselves safe. I mean, I believe, and that's been my experience, and I live right in front of a casino. So every day I'm walking by it or driving by it. So it's always there.
Yeah.
Some days it's like it's not even there. And then other days, and that's why I'm kind of asking, because some days it's like, am I grumpy or happy when I'm having these thoughts? Am I stressed or not? Because the thoughts still come. I'd like to think they're not urges, but the thoughts still come because I enjoyed gambling. So that's part of my problem with not gambling is I miss it. So it's been 4 months. What have you done? Can you share with us a little bit more about I'm going to mess it up. GameStop?
GameStop, yeah. Okay. So I signed up for GameStop a couple of years ago, actually. So it's only in the UK for UK approved website. So that any of the gambling online websites in the UK, you can sign up, and if you put your name, you've got to upload your passport as well, your details, and then you can choose how long you want to be self-excluded for. And I chose the maximum 5 years. Nice. So yeah, that means that I can't sign up for any websites under my name for the next 5 years, like the ones that have a license in the UK. Also, it also works with casinos as well. I can't go into, you've got to have memberships for the casinos, and I can't sign up here. I don't know if it's different in the United States, but in the UK, most of the casinos, you have to have a membership card. If I tried to go in there, because I did once, I tried to go in, I wanted to go back to the casino, and they went, "Oh, you've signed up for GameStop." And I was like, damn it, how did they know? Yeah. And then you were like, yeah, so it's all casinos as well. And like, I wasn't happy at the time, but really it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
So I was wondering when you said that it was 18, because in my mind, I'm like, it's online. How do they know who's doing it? So they must do an ID check in the beginning to gamble online. It's not just a button, are you 18, and you click it. You actually have to give them some information to prove your age in the beginning.
It's not good enough at the moment. I haven't gambled online actually for quite a while now, so I'm not sure if the checks are changed at the moment, but you didn't really need much to prove in, which was quite shameful, really. But most of the times you need to prove is when you want to actually withdraw money from when you've won. That's when they want the checks then. But otherwise, it's quite easy. Don't need. Hopefully, it is changing at this time.
Okay, because I was trying to draw the line between that and when you use GameStop. You said you had to upload your passport. So they must have to verify it against something. Like you said, how did they know it was me?
Yeah, so they need that. With GameStop, you need to upload your passport. You need the ID checks. Also, as well, if you're setting up a new account, the bank name, so obviously if you need to withdraw money or upload, it has to be in your name as well. So even if you make fake accounts and you use someone else, and then you use your card, then they're like, oh, wait a minute, like, we know that card. That card's been self-excluded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm just trying to understand it. I heard at a conference a couple years ago someone talking about this, and it was a Canadian program. It wasn't UK, but I'm glad that we're talking a little UK specific. It's one of my larger audiences, and maybe there's gamblers out there that don't even know that GamStop exists. So I'm happy that we're talking about this. So has anything changed for you in the 4 months since you quit gambling?
Yeah, obviously I still get the thought, like you said, that I like to think they're not urges, but I do get thoughts about it. Sometimes I do just think, oh, I could easily put £100 on like those 4 teams in football. Still get those thoughts, but I feel like I've just have a bit more, I'd like to say it, I'd like to call it peace of mind, just a bit more relaxed. And, I feel like I've learned from some mistakes as well. One of my biggest mistakes that I keep making in recovery is I isolate myself. And I feel like with me, that comes with like being quite immature. I've got the support groups. I've got people who in my recovery who text me, check up on me. And I'm not the best at getting back, but I'm working on it. And it's just spotting really when you need to speak to someone, when you have a thought about gambling. Because like I said earlier, it can only be a few seconds in a day, and but it'll grow. Like the next day, it'll get larger. Like that's when, like, I need to be picking up the phone and saying to someone, listen, like, I'm having these thoughts. Like they're gonna. If someone's gonna pick up, I've got a big phone list. Someone's gonna pick up, and they might change my mind, and that thought might go away. But if I don't act on them thoughts, then I'm probably gonna end up gambling again. So that's something that I've learned in the last 4 months, is that I can't isolate myself as much as I was before. I can't do this on my own.
Yeah,
it's up to me, but I can't do it on my own though.
I love that. But so true. So you're involved in group meetings. Is it Gamblers Anonymous or is it something else?
Yes, Gamblers Anonymous. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I found you from TikTok. So can you share a little about like what you're thinking to start doing that? What are you trying to do by doing that, by being out there on TikTok?
Yeah, what I'm really trying to achieve, mostly for the next generation of young gamblers, who, like, inevitably it's going to happen. Unfortunately, the numbers might be getting bigger. What I'm trying to achieve now is for people to realize that a lot of people do suffer with this addiction, and it's okay. You don't want to have it, but if you do have it, then that's okay. Like, it's not your fault, but you do need to stop because it's going to ruin your life. So I want it to be normalized in a way. I don't want gambling to be normalized. I want gambling addiction to be normalized. I want people to realize they're not alone. That, listen, I want other people to see, oh, this guy's like me. And all those people in the comments are like me as well. I'm not alone. Because I used to think I was alone. But it turns out, like, I'm not alone. I've got hundreds of people comments, thousands of likes, and people who are DMing me saying that they're suffering as well. So it's just really what I'm trying to achieve is people to realize that they're not alone, but this is not a life that you want to be living. You want to, you need to do everything you can. You need to try your best to stop and reach out for the help because it's out there.
I really appreciate what you're doing. And I think you do a good job in your videos of, as you're speaking, I can relate to so much of what you're saying, right? Because it's so similar for all of us, the thoughts, the feelings that provoke us. And you do a nice job of letting people know some of those thoughts that run through our heads. The people who are probably feeling very isolated and alone can at least they're not. So you do a great job of that. And I appreciate what you're doing. And that's very admirable. And it's so important with young, I'm going to say this because I'm probably double your age, but for young people, because I tried to quit in my early 20s. I went through this study. I quit for 6 months. Oh, okay, I could do this. And then the story I tell every time I run into a new person at a meeting, a new young person, I tell them the story that when I was in the study, I went to a GA meeting And there was a lady in her 40s, and she was sitting there and she told us all about losing her retirement fund and gambling away her whole 401k. And I remember thinking in that meeting, and I don't know why I can remember this, but I was like so smug, like, that'll never happen to me. Don't you know, I'm that 40-something-year-old lady who's gambled away most of her retirement, multiple times over. So I think that it's such a gift if the people who are discovering that it's an issue younger can address it and stick with it, where I didn't go all in on the recovery journey. I was kind of one foot in the door and one foot out. So that's why I really appreciate what you're doing. And you're using a social media tactic that reaches your audience, right? Because you go to a regular GA meeting, and I'm going to be stereotypical, but I'm almost always the only female in the room on some nights. It's still a bunch of older men. I mean, It's not like that everywhere, but there is a lot of times that there's only one or two females in the room, and there's not very many young people. So I think that what you're doing is just really noble, and I appreciate you doing that.
No, yeah, I do agree. Yeah, it's not many young people, but hopefully that can change. And like you said, for women as well, it's the meetings I go to. You get one sometimes, but not every week. So yeah, hopefully, because I've had a lot of women messaging me as well. I want them to know there's like recoveries out there, like there's help out there. It's a scary thought. It could be a good journey. Yeah, if you reach out for the help.
Well, thank you. Is there anything that you want to share with the audience that I'm not thinking to ask you?
I'm not too sure.
What does your relationships look like? Are your relationships getting better? Do you do better at your job now that you're gambling? Things like that. Do you see any change in the 4 months since you've quit?
Yeah, I've managed to be more career orientated. I've been managed to focus more on my job more and other stuff that I want to do that I eventually want to do in my career, and looking towards not too far in the future. Don't want to but set myself like smaller goals and like what I want to achieve. I feel confident. I feel excited as well. I feel excited for the journey as well. I'm not scared anymore of what the future is going to look like. Before I used to think like, is this going to be it? Am I just going to gamble everything, for the whole life? This is what I'm going to do. Now I'm excited about the future. And in the last 4 months, I managed to think of more stuff that I want to do. But like I said, like I'm not looking too far ahead. I don't want to, I've got to keep it, got to set like small goals and just keep doing the right things. Got to keep going for my meetings. Yeah, just keeping it easy, not looking too far ahead.
I love that. Yeah, we can get sometimes overwhelmed if we look too far ahead. So
yeah.
Another good point.
Yeah. If I look too far ahead, it could lead me to the thought like, well, I need this type of money right now. And then that's a dangerous thought for me, because if I'm needing the money now, I'm needing something now. I know, gambling's like, it's kind of for the last 7 years, it's been all I've known to getting money. So like, that will be the first thing that I'll go down, because that's my drug of choice. It's gambling.
You mentioned when you're hungover, that's like a trigger, or sometimes you would find yourself gambling more if you were hungover. Did you notice your drinking changing at all? Like, have you stopped being hungover maybe to protect yourself, or do you still drink normal?
Yeah, I do drink less alcohol now than I used to, because I've noticed that the feelings that I get when I'm hungover. I'm still young now, but when I was a bit younger, I was in university, I was having fun, but it was dangerous times when I was hungover, and I've managed to notice that more. Obviously, with everything that's going on with COVID, all the clubs are shut down. I've been out less, but there was some time in August when social distancing, we were able to go out, and I remember I hadn't drank in a long time, maybe about 6 months, and the day after, I was just like, this is just not worth it for me anymore. Like, I'm having all these feelings. I've noticed now, having that long without drinking and then going on a night out and being that hungover, I just thought this is a dangerous place for me to be in.
very proud of you. You're very self-observant, and that's awesome. And you're sharing things. I never had that experience. So it's good to call out another area of opportunity where people can look. Like I would have never thought of being hungover as a trigger for me. It could have been. I just can't even remember that being a thing now. More emotional triggers. That's interesting. I had a weird relationship with alcohol and gambling. Like I didn't generally mix the two of them, but I did like to drink and I did like to gamble, or I would leave the casino after losing all my money and then go to the bar to drown my sorrows. But I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. That's why I'm kind of nosy about that kind of stuff. We all have different ways of dealing with all the different aspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you being here. If you didn't think of anything else, because I'm forgetting, I haven't thought of any other questions that I haven't asked. You've been very forthcoming, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad you asked me to do this.
Yeah, well, we'll blow up social media and all my places. People can get to know you if that's okay. We'll talk when we hang up about that. But if people want to follow you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, so my TikTok account that I've been doing videos, it's called Bet3Has.
Bet3Has. Spell it for us.
So it's BETFREE.
Bet3.
And then has, and then HAZ. So I do have a slight speech impediment, so that could be it. But yeah, Bet3Has. Because there's an online site in the UK. It's the biggest site. It's called Bet365. So that's where the names came from. So instead of the number and Bet3, yeah.
That's good. I bet you it's brilliant because look at me. I'm saying I bet you.
I always say it.
If people were going to look for Bet3 the casino and they find you instead, that's pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Well, mine is spelled out, but okay. Yeah, hopefully, even if it gets to Bet, then my one will come up before Bet365.
I love that. Very good. Well, good. We'll get people knowing. I just think your videos are powerful and great, which is why I reached out. And I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me today, Harri.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.